In a quiet village tucked away in the heart of Africa, where the tall grasses met the edge of the forest and the sun painted the sky with its golden hues, lived a young woman named Zola. She was the daughter of a humble farmer, raised on values that celebrated simplicity, hard work, and community. Zola's beauty was well known. Her smile could brighten the darkest days, and her laugh was like the sound of wind rustling through the leaves. Yet, it wasn't just her beauty that made her admired. It was her strength and wisdom beyond her years. Zola's family had always lived modestly, but they were content. Her father, Amari, was a skilled farmer who grew crops that fed the village, while her mother, Nia, managed the household with love and care. Zola, being the only child, was expected to one day take her place in the village, tending to the land and upholding the traditions of her people. Her life, though simple, was rich in love, culture, and purpose. But everything changed the day Kofi, the wealthy son of a powerful merchant, came to the village. Kofi was known far and wide for his immense fortune. His family owned vast tracts of land, cattle, and had business dealings that stretched across the continent. He was a man of great charm, with a smile that could win over anyone and eyes that shone with ambition. He had everything except one thing: love. When Kofi first laid eyes on Zola, he was struck by her grace. Her elegance was unmatched, and there was a kindness in her that drew him in. For days, he couldn't stop thinking about her. He visited her village often, pretending to be interested in the goods being sold, but all the while, his gaze would drift toward Zola. It didn't take long for Zola to notice Kofi's attention. His charm, confidence, and elegance were undeniable, but Zola was hesitant. She had heard stories about the rich, about their detached lives, and the way their wealth set them apart from people like her. One day, Kofi finally gathered the courage to approach Zola. He asked her if she would sit with him under the old baobab tree, a place where lovers often met in secret. Zola, intrigued by his sincerity, agreed. Their conversation flowed easily, and they spoke of everything, from the stars above to the crops that Zola's father tended. Kofi found himself drawn to her wisdom, her deep understanding of life's simplest pleasures. Zola, too, began to see past Kofi's wealth and discovered a man who sought something more meaningful than riches. Over time, their bond deepened and love began to grow between them. However, not everyone in the village was pleased with their union. The elders, wise and respected, were concerned. They had seen many young women swept away by wealth only to lose themselves in it. The elders believed that Zola, coming from humble roots, was not suited to the life Kofi could offer. They feared that the power and wealth of Kofi's family would corrupt the purity of Zola's character. To them, love between different classes was a dangerous thing, a force that could tear apart the very fabric of the village's unity. One evening, the elders called a meeting to discuss the matter. The village leader, Chief Kofi, an old man with a white beard that spoke of decades of wisdom, stood at the head of the gathering. "This young woman, Zola, is a gift to our community," he began, his voice grave. "But the union between her and Kofi threatens the very foundation of our traditions. We must protect our way of life." The elders agreed. Zola's heart is pure, but she must not be swayed by the riches that Kofi offers. The wealth of his family will change her. They murmured in agreement. Zola's parents, though they loved her dearly, were torn. They knew the elders had the village's best interest at heart, but they also saw the love that blossomed between Zola and Kofi. Amari, her father, sat with his hands clasped together. I fear they may be right, he said softly. We know that the ways of the rich are different, but Zola has never been one to follow the crowd. She is strong, and she must decide what is best for her. Nia, her mother, sighed. We must trust her judgment. She is no longer a child. If she chooses Kofi, we must support her, but we must also be prepared for the consequences. Zola, upon hearing of the elders' concerns, felt torn between her love for Kofi and her loyalty to her village. She knew that her relationship with him would challenge everything her community believed in. Yet her love for Kofi was undeniable, and she couldn't help but believe that their bond was true, that it wasn't built on material wealth, but on mutual respect and understanding. She sought advice from her grandmother, an elderly woman who had seen the world change many times over. Grandmother, Zola asked, what should I do? The village says Kofi is not the right man for me because of his wealth. They say it will change me. Her grandmother looked at her with wise, knowing eyes. My dear, wealth can change people, but it is not the wealth that causes the change. It is the heart. If your heart is strong, if you stay true to who you are, no amount of wealth will change you. But if you let it, it will. Love is not about status, my child. It is about understanding, trust, and sacrifice. Zola took her grandmother's words to heart. The next day, she met with Kofi. I love you, she said, but my people are afraid of what our union will mean for the village. They fear the changes it will bring. Kofi took her hands in his. Zola, I don't want to change who you are. I want to build a life with you, one where we honor our roots and grow together. I will not ask you to choose between me and your village, but I will stand by you no matter the outcome. Despite the elders' warnings, Zola made a decision. She would marry Kofi, not because of his wealth, but because she believed in the strength of their love. However, she knew she couldn't leave a village behind. She would find a way to honor both her love for Kofi and her community. The marriage ceremony was unlike any the village had ever seen. Kofi and Zola stood side by side, surrounded by the villagers who, though hesitant, came to witness the union. As the ceremony began, Chief Kofi, the village leader, stepped forward. He gazed at Zola and Kofi with solemn eyes. Though we feared this union, we see now that love, true love, is not bound by wealth or tradition, he said, his voice steady. May you both find strength in each other and bring honor to our village. From that day on, Zola and Kofi worked together to bridge the gap between their worlds. Zola remained grounded in her village, helping the community, while Kofi used his wealth to support causes that improved the lives of the villagers. Together, they showed that love could indeed transcend all boundaries, and that the true measure of wealth was not in material possessions, but in the strength of one's heart. As for the elders, they saw that Zola had not lost her essence. Instead, her love for Kofi had deepened her understanding of the world. And so they welcomed the young couple, and the village flourished with a new sense of unity, one where love and tradition could coexist stronger than ever.